West Coast Davengers. West Coast Davengers.
There's only one mantra that you all need to know. That's that one over there. See Todd, bye Todd.
Comic books. This is actually the only comic book that oh hello, good evening everybody. I was busy reading a comic that I've never read before. Turok 1. Just kidding, it's me, and I am literally reading Turok 1s even in my sleep. Hi everybody, it's West Coast Wednesday. It's the chat and chill day, and my friends are here to talk about comics, all 22,000 of you. Hi everybody, happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's doing well. You know, in these blue times where everything's all blue, my brain. Chemdog, I did say it. Now I'm saying it live, chat and chill. I'm never late. I am never early. I am a wizard. I am like Gandalf. I intend to be where I am all the time. Frodo, shut the fuck up. Derek Neiman in the house. Hello. And yes, it is official. We have a new pope, and it is the wrench pope, Tyler Davis, and he is here for his coronation. And with that, it means he needs to melt down all of his action figures into one big plastic Vatican City, and then you will be the pope. Was it that Turok one yesterday? Yeah, there you go. It's exactly. Bert Kmart will sign that for you. I don't know if he's actually going to do it. It's a, you know, it's a joke between me, not me. I'm sorry, Comic Tim and Bart Sears. Hello there, Mark, and the new pope. Yes, there he is. He's right here. He is right here. Cancel the papal conclave. The next pope is right here. Yes, Tyler. Oh, yes, the action figures. I'm sorry, Tyler, to become the pope, you need to give up something big. And your action figure collection is what the sacrifice that needs to be made for your people. Yay. Derek is, all right, well, now we have the cardinal and the pope, and we are settled. That is right, chat and chill in conclave. Yeah, I was, remember when I was like, oh, I'm gonna take the week off, or I'm not gonna do another sale or whatever. Well, yeah, anyway. What will his name be? No, it will be Pope David Tyler David Davis. West Coast. I hope everybody's well. Today was New Comic Book Day. I picked up, what, 2 comics? I picked up Hush, the second part, and Absolute Wonder Woman 7. But I also picked up a little thing to give away tonight on the channel. This Godzilla #1 IDW foil wraparound Art Adams cover. Let's do, look at that. Look at that. Look at it. So I'm going to give this away some point later tonight. It's one of you lucky Davengerinos. So that'll be nice, I guess. Sorting through another 50-cent haul at the moment, splitting image, Plat Profits. That is good stuff. I looked at a collection today. We'll see if I'm going to end up buying it. I made an offer, and we will, well, I'll find out tomorrow, and then you'll find out on the channel. This weekend, you're going to see a Golden Age collection that I bought very recently that nobody has seen any of the books. They have not been out for sale. It is potentially the most unique collection I've ever found and bought. It's small, and it's cool. I don't actually know what it's worth. It's not your typical Golden Age stuff. That's what I'll say. Pope Eggs Benedict the 69th. Nice. And yes, Marsh is going to be an altar boy. You guys are actually possibly constructing the greatest religion conclave and what do I want to call it? Tribe that's ever been created. We've got Pope David Tyler David Davis, the 69th Eggs Benedict, and then we've got Cardinal Derek Don't Call Me Neiman, and Altar Boy Marsh. I'll buy it, whatever it is. All right, I'm not going to tell you what it is, and it's $6,000. Let me know if you claim it, George, and I'll just send it. The Covenant of Dave. Thank you. I was looking for that word and it escaped me, Andrew. Cult. Yeah, it's a cult. So yeah, I will see if I get this collection tomorrow. If so, there's some really good books in there, but you know, I haven't bought it yet. I only made an offer. It's a cult, but we don't address it. Well, there you go. I want to know if anybody in the chat has seen it yet. But I ended up seeing Sinners again today with Mr. John, aka Criterion. Second time I'm seeing it. Best movie of the year so far. May even stay there. Ryan Coogler has constructed a modern masterpiece, and that's God. I love that movie so much. You know, full walls on the table type thing. I tried getting Coogler on Direct Edition, the podcast. And I spoke to his PR people. If I had been in LA, I might have actually had gotten to record with him, but it doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. But I'm not going to stop trying. I'm not going to stop trying. I mean, he's now crafted 5 amazing movies. Fruitvale Station, and it's his 5th time working with Michael B. Jordan. Black Panther 1, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, Creed, and now Sinners. Yes, it's so good. And if Mark, I don't know if you have a true IMAX up there, but if you can see it in IMAX, that's at least one of the best ways to see it. The wrenches do run the cult. They tighten the bolts that make the cult run, and they're the WD-40 to make sure that the gears are also turning. But yeah, Sinners, I saw it twice now in 4 days. Nope, not 4 days. Can't count. 5 days. Fantastic movie. No spoilers. Now that's a smart idea. Are you going to go see it at the Science Center trip? At the because was Def Haven playing at Showbox, or are they playing at Numos? Where are they playing? Yeah, Sinners, a brilliant movie, constructed great. It's definitely something that if you go into it kind of blind, like just knowing the base plot of it's a horror movie, you're going to be really delighted and surprised. The movie has so many cool themes running throughout it. It's definitely a movie about as much about music as it is anything else. Just a fantastic, and obviously the performances are off the charts. You know, Michael B. Jordan playing twins. Delroy Lindo's in it. The new kid, Miles, I forget his last name. Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Cool. Hello there, Calvin Yetimus. Oh, Metallica, that's right. They were just in Syracuse, right? So they're doing the 2 days of in Toronto. That's awesome, Tyler. I hope you have a great time. Oh, Revenge of the Sith is this weekend too. I may have to go see it just so I can see the high ground. I have the high ground, Anakin, and he just leaves him there as a stumpy body. God, what a classic. Hello there, Mark. I'll probably see it in the Bellevue IMAX since I'll be working on. Just call in sick and go see it at the Science Center. You won't regret it. Interglobal's in the house. I hope everything is well for me. It is. Things are good. I mean, I'm tired. I feel like I'm always tired these days. But other than that, what else is there to? I have tons I can complain about, but I won't. How about that? Ever heard of Image Timeline? Yes, I read that. It came out, a couple years ago. I actually bought it at I Like Comics in Portland. I guess it must have been new that week. It was pretty cool. Like it's some of the blurbs in it were kind of like, there was definitely some Valentino sarcasm in there. But yeah, the Image Timeline's a great book. I don't know what I must have sold it in one of the $5 rounds. But if you ever see it, yes, it's definitely worth picking it up. I'd love to have Valentino on the podcast on either, well, probably be on this channel or Direct Edition. But I've tried reaching out to him on Facebook and never get a response to messages because he probably doesn't see them. Jim Valentino, I'm still trying to get Portasio on the program. Liefeld, I mean, I kind of gave up trying with that guy. And Jim Lee, I've messaged DC Comics publicity, like their PR person, multiple times to no response. Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth 50 cents to $5 to $6, you know. Next week on Direct Edition, dropping my interview on Monday of next week with Dinesh Shamdasani from Bad Idea. And it's a good one. It's like an hour and 40 minutes or so. And we talk about his, you know, beginnings growing up in Hong Kong and falling in love with comics and action movies. Talk about, uh, you know, him getting into buying Valiant for that at that auction. And then from there to Bad Idea. And we talk about the state of comics and conventions. And then obviously we end on talking about original art. And he's got arguably the greatest collection of original art in the last 40 years. Like, he owns Amazing Spider-Man 300 cover, Ultimate Fallout 4 cover, X-Men 266, X-Men 248, Vengeance of Bane 1. And he actually shows off a little bit of art in there too, which is pretty cool. Alex, I've never been to one of the 4D movies. It doesn't interest me, the whole moving, you know, amusement park thing. It's just not my thing. I'm more into picture and sound quality, and I try to see stuff in formats like 70 millimeter if it's available, or IMAX if it was shot. But I know a lot of people like the 4D stuff. It's just not for me. Yes, we do, Derek. We talk about Planet Death. Can say that I have read the preview issue, which is coming out, I guess, next week, and it's really good. The setup is really cool. The art is fantastic. There's a couple of variant covers that are coming out for it that I don't. Well, he announced the variant covers for the first issue, which comes out in July. But there's some variant covers that are store exclusives that have not really been announced, and I'm not going to say who they are because the book's not out yet. But I'm excited to try and get copies of those too. And then, speaking of Bad Idea, because they're going into their next wave, and they're trying to get these books are going to be in more stores. They're not doing the whole limited thing. And our friend of the channel, personal friend, John Wayshak, has a book coming out with Mike Carey called Cul-de-sac. And I've seen the art. I've been seeing the art for the last year and change. And it's coming out this summer. And man, it's going to be awesome. So we talk a lot about that. And, you know, this is the first interview where I've kind of like been able, this is the first time I've ever had a publisher on to talk to. And, you know, I voiced some of my opinions on not being able to read any of the Bad Idea stuff in the early stages of it. And, you know, it was nice to kind of be honest and not have to worry about the person on the other end, like leaving the stream or ending the interview. Because I know Dinesh, and Dinesh is a fun person to talk to. He's really passionate about comics. So that comes out next week on Direct Edition, and then this weekend is a Golden Age video on this channel. This past week on Direct Edition, give me one sec here. Let me just hold on, y'all. I just want to pull something up here while I talk about it. Okay. So this week on Direct Edition, as you can see on the YouTube channel right there, I talked about my time with the USPS. I was a mailman during the pandemic. This episode is doing really well, and people seem to be responding to it. I'm happy to tell stories. But yeah, this is the page for the podcast. All interviews, unless it's somebody that's like a huge name, like a Todd McFarlane or something like that. The interviews are going to stay on Direct Edition. They don't do well on this channel. People don't like to watch them as much as they like to watch me digging through comics. So if you're not subscribed, this is where, if you want to do it on YouTube, but it's also on Spotify and also on Apple, Amazon, all those things. Hey, speaking of good people, this is one of Daryl's shirts. And another YouTube channel you should subscribe to is Read Your Comics. We all love Daryl. Daryl's a bright spot in the community, even though he does like to read comics that he ends up saying sometimes, yeah, I can understand why I didn't like this when I was a kid. He's currently reading through The Age of Apocalypse, the entire 97 issue Age of Apocalypse storyline, and on the anniversary of the week that those issues came out. He's also been doing a lot of Superman and Fantastic Four flip throughs, which have been fun to watch because he's reading stuff that I never read. And sometimes he reads something that I'm like, oh, I want to track that down. And then sometimes he reads something and said, thanks for doing that for me, Daryl. Week 16 tomorrow. And you know, if you want to hear a southern gentleman, no, he doesn't sound anything like that. He does have a little, but if you want to hear somebody with who knows how to talk, well, he does. That's the thing with a lot of YouTubers. You watch them and you're like, maybe you should have taken a public speaking class. What platform do I get the most? Oh yeah, tonight is also a Q&A, so feel free to ask any questions relating to anything I do. So I get the most traffic right now on the pod. Between it seems Spotify and YouTube. YouTube is great because I can push the podcast in a way that like clickbait helps get more people. Certain things you do or the way you upload a video sometimes helps. With like Spotify, which hosts the podcast, that RSS feed goes out to Apple, Amazon, and all that. And there's less interaction on the other ones, but now Spotify, understanding that they have to compete with YouTube with podcasts, all the Spotify podcasts now have the option of video or audio. And the traffic there is good. You can leave comments and stuff, but it seems like YouTube is the most traffic, especially as the guests get varied or bigger in name or size. Like the Sean Crystal interview is the most successful one so far to date on YouTube on the podcast. But it's also because we talk about a lot of things that are hot topics, you know, and we have a great conversation because fun person. So YouTube and Spotify. I can't wait for more of those sports hero books. Sports hero books. What are we talking about? Are we talking? What did I? Oh, on Daryl's channel. Okay. Tony, what's up, man? The USPS episode was a fun listen. Then rewatched the haul video of the box you got from the lady on your rack. Yeah, that was. It's interesting. I've forgotten about that. But that was, yeah, it was right at the beginning of me doing this and at the end of my career as a mail carrier. What's funny, I didn't even really, to take a note from the Ghostbusters, I didn't cross the streams, but there was a guy on my route towards the end of my time there. And this would have been, you know, summer 2021, who was buying a lot of comics, but mostly slabs. And I would get a package and I would know it was a slab because of the size, or it would have a CGC label, obviously. And because he was getting Gemini mailers too. And because I knew what I was handling, I would always hide them so that they weren't just sitting on his porch. I think he worked from home, but I never saw the person. I only saw the garage door close once as I was walking across the street. But he was a comic guy. And then I always had a connection with people that bought records on my route. And there was one guy on my route who had must have had 3,000 or 4,000 records, and was talking to him one day. He's like, yeah. And he opened his front door. He's like, take a look into the left. And it was like his office. And it was just built into the wall shelves of records. It was amazing. Didn't have too many comic people on my routes that I did, but when I did, I would always have something to talk about. And then, yeah, I posted something on Nextdoor in that neighborhood as I was leaving the post office about like looking for comic collections and stuff. And that lady, she hit me up and gave me that, yeah, like, I can't remember, it was maybe a Staples box or a carton of comics. And it was just fun to look through. I should rewatch that video because I remember nothing. I remember I got some Silver or Bronze Age horror DC stuff. Derek said, I love how the USPS podcast had little video clips sprinkled in. Yeah, you know, Derek, I'd like to do that more often because like most people that are listening to the podcast will watch it on video, or they have the ability if they want to see the clips. Derek, If you knew how many clips I had on my phone of me doing just funny stuff, and I mean, it's literally just a year and a half worth of me sending videos and stuff to friends or posting them on my personal Instagram page. There's one where I found the other day that was me doing the scat from Korn from Freak on a Leash. And it must have been when I was still in my first 90 days because I didn't have a uniform yet. So I'm wearing like a blue Jaws shirt. I'm like, it's when my hair was still here and curly. And I'm just like, yeah, doing the boom dap da boom dap nima. But I mean, like, it's it is really some of it's bittersweet and then some of it's just fucking bitter, those memories, because of the way that they treat you. I would just, when I went to see Sinners on Friday at the IMAX in Seattle, I went with one of my friends who still works there, and he was like, yeah, it really hasn't gotten better. um, hey, Matt's in the house. Heroes for Hire Comic Club. Hello there. Oh, I just did the Chris Piers salute, double salute. Oh, hi there. I was just talking about my life at the post office. Welcome to Not Comic Tropes. Speaking of Chris Piers, aka Comic Tropes, saw him today at our LCS Stargazer. Shout out to Stargazer Comics in Tacoma. And it was nice catching up with him. There's an idea brewing, and look, I don't know if I have the energy to pull it off, but there's an idea brewing in the community between a couple of comic book YouTubers and the store owner of possibly, maybe, starting our own comics only Comic Con physically in Tacoma. We'll see. Record collector or comic book collector community, have a preference? Outer World, I'm not really steeped in the record collector community as much as I am a record collector, or I used to be. I haven't really bought more than 10 records in the last year or two, just because I've seen the quality go down and the rise of the variants go up and all that. But I don't, yeah, I mean, the music, the record collecting community seems to be a little less, I don't know, opinionated in weird ways. I mean, one of my friends who's a record collector is Scheme Richards, and he's a DJ, but he's just he's a delightful person. So I've got nothing bad to say about the people I know in the record collecting community. I have plenty of maybe negative things to say about some pieces of the comic collecting community, but you know, that's just me. I got an opinion. Speaking of, I got to show something off. I'll be posting this on Instagram probably tomorrow, but oh my God, it's a one of one. The West Coast Davengers Prismatic MVC card. It's a one of one retailer exclusive incentive. It's a Gem Misa 9.5. Oh, Misa Gata slab, and it's an old CGC label. You're not going to see any more of these anywhere. Anyway, that's just me having ridiculous friends sending me ridiculous gifts. And oh yeah, I forgot, Andor premiered yesterday. I watched 2 of the 3 episodes. I can see they're building something. Rip Blue Label, there it is. Rest in peace, Blue Label. And look at that. Whoa. Comic Tim hasn't seen this yet. By the way, there's maybe, actually not maybe, Comic Tim did have a run-in with Dinesh. I walked away from the computer to go grab a package at the door, and next thing I know it, I hear Comic Tim talking to Dinesh. So you guys will see some of that on the podcast. Yeah, I will say, I gotta say this about Andor. You could tell in the first episode, and I'm not gonna say anything spoilerific, but you could tell in the first episode that they are plotting. Like, they are laying a thick, I hesitate to say the word convoluted, but a very well-constructed plot. What I do think that's interesting, and I don't know if this is done on purpose, because there's been a lot of, over the last 10 years with streaming, with movies and TV in general, sound has always been a problem. And a lot of you maybe, or a lot of people I know watch shows and movies with subtitles on. I don't. I have a pretty keen ear. Plus, I usually have a good sound system. But what I did find interesting is there are certain scenes purposefully in Andor where people are talking very low. And I think it's also to give in to the fact that a lot of this is espionage. It's all the Rebel Alliance, with Andor season 1, it's about the rebels kind of finding a lot of ways in to thwart and destroy the empire from within. And it's interesting to see that they kind of lean into that in certain scenes with a lot of uh, John is one of them, with a lot of whispering and quiet talk. What else did I watch? Oh, well, obviously, Last of Us season 2, episode 2 happened. Once again, we'll not talk spoilers. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you're in for it. But I am really embracing the changes. I'm a diehard fan of the games. I've played the first one maybe through. Well, look, if I tell you, I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you look on your PlayStation 5 and you go to one of the games that you're playing, it'll show you, whether you want to see it or not, how many hours you've played that game for. If you were to combine Last of Us 1 and Last of Us 2 on my PlayStation, is close to 500 hours. So I've played those games a bit, just a bit. And the changes that they've made, I am fully embracing because it's not the video game. The narration of a video game is completely different from what you tell on a TV show or movie. Because you're playing as the player, you're experiencing it, and they're giving you exposition as you're going along. That doesn't work for a show or a movie. It would be really bad if they were like, well, you're going to follow this person only. And yeah, it just wouldn't make sense. So I'm enjoying that. Obviously, big fan of all of it. All right. Cheesier, have a good night. Yeah, that's the thing. Outer World, look, understandably, going in with Caitlin Dever being cast, there are understandable people that are like, oh, she doesn't fit the role. Okay, let's talk about actresses. How many 6 foot, whatever, 230-pound tank actresses are out there that can actually act? And after episode 2, when you really feel who this person is, Abby, it doesn't matter what she looks like. I mean, it doesn't matter what she looks like in general, but what I'm saying is, like, you feel that this is embodying this character of Abby. I love Bella Ramsey as Ellie, and I think we're gonna find out even more Bella Ramsey's acting chops going into this season because, obviously, once again, I won't spoil it, but the intensity of this character of Ellie is put to the test and changes, and just can't wait for this to play out. But yeah, the game is something that I absolutely love. I took years off of playing video games because I had nerve damage from bad posture at a desk job for years. And then when I came back into video games, it was PlayStation and it was Last of Us. Brunson in the house. What up, brother? I hope you're doing well. Brunson is a great artist. If you don't know him, you can follow him on Instagram. Probably every other social network, but Instagram is where he shows off his work, and you can see it, and then you can buy it from him. That's what we do here. We buy art from artists. We are who we thought they were. They are who we thought they were. Playoffs. Yeah. So those are all the shows. Obviously, Daredevil Born Again was wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Of course, dude. And that was great. Comic wise, what have I been reading? Oh, you know what? It's funny. I pulled out and we let him off the hook. That's right. I finally read the first issue. I thought it was a one shot. It was in one of the collections I bought, but I finally read the first issue of the Deviant, James Tynion's series, and I thought it was a one shot because it's like the Deviant, a Christmas tale, and I read the first issue and then it's like to be continued, and then today I found out it's like 10 issues into the run. I'm like, God damn it! But it was really good. It was really good. Marco's in the house. What is up, my brother? And yes, tonight's vibe, like, I don't think I'll be on too long tonight, but if you have any questions or you just want to throw something out there, be like, Dave, why don't we talk about this? Please put it in the chat. I wasn't originally going to go live tonight. I was actually going to go live. I was going to do a morning stream, a Wake and Dave, but I ended up having breakfast with John this morning and going to see Sinners again at 11. And so here we are. And it's nighttime, or it's evening. For some of you, it's nighttime. For me, it's 6:45, and it's still light out because, that's how time works. It's a flat circle. Jesus Christ. Electric. I've never used a straight razor in my life because I don't want to, All right, let's talk about How Badass Bug Wars. Let's talk Bug Wars. I did not buy the third issue. I'm going to read it in trade, but I did read the first two issues. Jason Aaron and I can't remember the artist's name. It is a mix of like toy soldiers, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in an R-rated format, but instead it's bugs and it's cool. It feels like Jason Aaron has built a world not unlike what Bill Willingham had built with Fables, in a sense. And I read the first two issues. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited for it to keep coming out and see where they go with it. I remember if you remember a Vertigo series from the early 2000s called Exterminators, which was kind of gross but pretty awesome. It was like I think it went on for like 30 issues. It was like a full, complete run, and that was fun. I hope that this Bug Wars is like, he's got a nice, like plan laid out for 20, 30, whatever X many issues, and it's like a good 2 or 3 year run because, well, I don't know. I mean, Jason Aaron has written some great books. His Thor run, obviously, one of the more legendary things that he's done, but Scalped and not Southern Bastards. Southern Bastards? I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but I've sampled a lot of his stuff, and I typically like his writing. I didn't like that first Turtles issue, so I never went back. Not comic. Yeah, I've heard this about adolescence, but I have not watched it yet. I also have not seen the new Black Mirror, which I heard hits pretty hard too. I remember watching Black Mirror when it first came out, and like every subsequent episode and every subsequent year, it was like gut punch, gut punch, gut punch, and then they did San Junipero, which was really great episode, which was arguably one of the best, and it's a very uplifting episode. But the one with the bees was like the worst. I have not seen it yet. I mean, I'll watch it. I'll watch it when it comes out. That was the new one that they made. Is it the animated one or the new one that Trachtenberg made as like kind of like very under the radar? That like nobody knew he was making it when he was making it. Yeah, it is. It is. The old Sword of Adam series. I never read that. I've never read that. Rewatching Mad Men. It's interesting. I remember when Mad Men first came out, I watched the first like 4 episodes or so, and it was like, it just didn't, it wasn't for me at that time in my life, and I kind of got bored of it. And then I guess at the beginning of the pandemic, I sat down and I watched it over the course of like a month. And obviously, I put it as one of, everybody rightfully so puts it in the pantheon of some of the greatest TV shows of all time, in that top 5 or top 10 or top 3. I'm currently watching Severed, and I am Severance, and I am 7 episodes into this past second season, and I'm enjoying it. It's such a interesting, well crafted show with great cast and great design and just a wild concept. I like the name Severed better. There you go. Yeah. I'll just call it that from now on, John. Also, man, is shit that I got to go to town for 3 days because Oblivion. Yeah, it's so funny. Trip, I think, posted about it today on Instagram. John is locking himself in his room and playing it right now instead of watching this because we hung out today, so he gets a pass. I've never played Oblivion. I was never into the not for any reason. I just never got into the Elder Scrolls, Morrowind and Skyrim. I really want to watch it. Do you know if it's like on streaming on PBS? Like, can you watch it on demand on PBS, or do you have to catch it broadcast? Because yeah, that's the new documentary. You know who told me about that originally? Larry, who runs the Fantagraphics store, the manager of the Fantagraphics store, and he told me he had seen it like at a sneak preview or whatever a couple weeks back, and he said it's really good. Oh, there you go. All right, cool, John. I'll check it out then. Your Friends and Neighbors, solid pilot episode. I thought it was a remake of the Neil LaBute film originally. Is that a show? Your Friends and Neighbors? Why has somebody just mentioned Neil LaBute to me recently? Oh, it was Dinesh. Because Dinesh worked with him when Dinesh was younger, breaking into the film industry. Cool. Definitely gonna check it out, John. Everyone watching shit live as it comes out. I'm over here on season 4 of The Wire. Omar coming. Derek, you know what? Honestly, like, you could watch all of this stuff, but if you haven't watched The Wire, you're missing the best. I mean, the best TV shows of all time. Come on, The Wire, Breaking Bad. I'm throwing Lost in there, and I don't give a fuck what you think about the end of that show. True Detective, season 1. Greatest season of any show ever, period. End of story. There is no argument. Okay, cool. Oh, that's the Apple show. Okay. Yeah, I will definitely be checking that out once I'm done with Severance. I finished up the past season of Shrinking, which, I love that show for so many reasons, but the reason I love it the most is Harrison Ford. And we just get to see that version of Harrison Ford, which is pretty much who he is. But yeah, there's always so much to watch. No, Brunson. Okay, so here we go. Here's my rundown of True Detective. As somebody that has watched, well, I've watched the first season 4 times, but I've watched each other season except for the most recent one. I've watched season 2 twice, season 3 twice, and then season 4 I'll watch again. Here's my rundown, in my opinion. Season 1, perfect. 10 out of 10, maybe even 11 out of 10, Time. Anyway, season 2, okay? Season 2, I feel like will age the way Fire Walk with Me aged, or the way, in general, Twin Peaks will age. It's not really good, and then you watch it again, and you're like, but it kind of is awesome, and it's just like, it's like an exploitation movie with like questionable dialogue. Season 3. Now, I am going into spoiler territory and just a plot detail, but it's also like 5 years old, so fuck you. Season 3 takes the time as a flat circle and the concepts that Russ Cole talks about in time, and then puts it into action with Marshala Ali's dementia and how he is seeing time all at once. And it's so interesting, and it's great performance from him and Stephen Dorff, but it really does take the concepts that Russ Cole puts forth and puts them into action. And then my opinion on season 4, I really enjoyed season 4. My takeaway from it is, if either they went full, it would have been a great X-Files season, and they didn't completely go full supernatural, and I think that didn't work for a lot of people. But that's my opinion. Hell yeah, Daryl. Yes, it definitely is. And it's Colin Farrell has, I won't repeat it I don't want to get banned from YouTube for repeating that line, but it's that first or second episode where his son's getting bullied and he goes to the kid's house and he beats the shit out of the dad, and he says something to the kid, and he basically says, fuck it, I'll say it. He says to the kid, if you bully my son again or something like that, I'll come over here and butt fuck your dad in front of your mom. And I'm like, oh my God, he actually just said that in the show. Anyway, Interior Chinatown is pretty cool. I've never heard of it. What's it on, Matt? Yep. I mean, like, that line delivery. I mean, Colin Farrell, look. A lot of people didn't immediately love Colin Farrell when he first came out. It was a Minority Report. In Bruges was like the first time people realized how funny he is. The Lobster, and then Killing a Sacred Deer, and like we finally see his acting chops like in front of the world. But I've always enjoyed watching him. It's all one ghetto man, giant gutter in outer space. Russ Cole. I don't sleep. I just dream. Like the best script for a character ever is Russ Cole. Okay, it's on Hulu. Thanks, Matt. Speaking of X-Files, Vince Gilligan spotted New Mexico shooting a sci-fi inspired new show starring Rhea Seehorn. Ooh, I like Rhea Seehorn. Speaking of X-Files, Ryan Coogler working on an X-Files reboot, remake, something right now. It stars the girl who played Quake on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I never made it through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I kind of got bored. You know what? It's funny. I talked to John Criterion about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he says like it's worth watching because it gets real weird, and I kind of like that. I think I tapped out maybe the end of season 2 or season 3. Whenever Deathlock appears in the show, I kind of tapped out. If he pulls together some kind of modern day Roswell incident style X-Files inspired show. Look, Vince Gilligan hasn't made anything since, because he didn't. Oh yeah, Better Call Saul. What am I saying? But he hasn't done anything non-Breaking Bad since before Breaking Bad, I guess. Yeah, Ryan Coogler can no longer do, or never was able to do any wrong, and I'm all for it. Whatever that man does, especially if he does Bitterroot with Regina King directing. Yeah. Wrong show, but yeah. But yes, there's a lot of good stuff to watch and a lot of good stuff to look forward to watching, including a small little comic book movie called Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four. But did anybody else hit up and buy the second issue of Hush? I have not read it, and I did the thing again where I wasn't going to do it, and I bought the oversized issue, and now I've committed to reading all of Hush, Jimothy Lee, in oversized format. So by the time I'm done reading that series, all 6 issues, I'll have spent $90 like an idiot. Whatever. YOLO, right? Guys, there's a big book coming back from CGC. I don't know when I'm going to have it. I don't know the grade. It's going to be huge. I'm going to go see Thunderbolts for sure. And I'm going to go see, what's the other movie I want to see that's coming out? Shadow Force, new Joe Carnahan movie. I'm excited to see that because I like Joe Carnahan. Is it though? If this second issue is not good, I didn't dislike the first issue. I thought it was okay. It was just okay. As far as comic books go, I think it was just okay. I'm hoping that this next issue is really good. Double thumbs up. I like how that fireworks, like, oh, I wonder if it's because of the blue lights. Let's see what the rain does. It can't rain all the time. I only picked up I think 3 books. It was the Hush, it was Absolute Wonder Woman, and then this I'll be giving away tonight. Yeah, I had a fireworks necklace. I guess it's better than having a pearl necklace. Am I right or am I right? But yeah, so I've decided next week I'm gonna return. I'll do a sale on the 30th. And then there's gonna be a Friday sale somewhere in there. I've got a lot of stuff going on. By the way, wait, what? What? No, I have not heard anything about this. Jeremy Piven and dinosaurs in Vietnam? That's amazing. Dude, great Gray and Narc and A-Team was fun. The studio kind of fucked with that one. And then there's what's the limousine movie with the limo driver with Shit, why can't I remember the name of that movie? He actually invited me to the set on that one. I can't. It was in LA and I didn't see the message. Shit. You'll think of it, Marco. And then he directed or co-created and directed the first or second Blacklists episodes. Primitive War. That's awesome. I'll have to check that out if there's a trailer for it yet. But yeah, I love Joe Carnahan. So far, I read Batman, One World Under Doom, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Superman. Okay, yeah, two out of the four of those, I'll be reading tonight or tomorrow morning. I read a lot in the morning. Like I'll wake up at 6:30 and I'll try and read for like a half hour before I get out of bed and start my day, which includes breakfast and then a game or two of Marvel Rivals to get the brain going. And then once it's going, I'm just like, I'm sitting here at the keyboard going, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? I'm hello. I am Ivan Drago. Stretch, thank you, Marco. That was a good movie. Another one that fell way under the radar that was very much like the other one he directed, Aces. Oh shit. Ace. Oh God, hold on. Joe Carn and Aces. Smoking Aces. Yeah, great movie also. Joe's directed some of the better, more creative action movies, as well as kind of like, I wouldn't call them comedies, but they have a fantastic sense of humor to them. So maybe they are somewhat comedies. But if you've never seen Narc and you've never seen The Gray, arguably The Gray, I think The Gray is better than Taken as a movie. Sure, Taken doesn't, Gray doesn't have the whole, what did he say? I will find you and I will kill you. Or whatever he says, specific set of skills. Peter David and Jeff Purves era Hulks. Chemdog, if you're not subscribed to Daryl's channel, Read Your Comics, he's working through the whole Peter David run on his channel. Smoking Aces is one of the best Lake Tahoe movies ever. And the only one I can think of. Lake Tahoe is really nice. A particular set of skills. Yeah, I saw The Gray at the Kips Bay Theater in Midtown Manhattan. And it's great. So I became friendly with Joe back when I used to work for the sports memorabilia company, and I got him this beautiful 16 by 20 photo of Earl Campbell and Walter Payton shaking hands, and it was signed by Earl Campbell. And then Joe invited me to the set of that TV show he did with Katherine Heigl. I can't remember the name of it. And they were filming it in Queens. And I remember we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was like a couple weeks before it came out. And Joe was like, do you really think that this movie's going to do well? And I'm like, I think it has a chance of doing well because it's a very unique, unknown cast of characters, and that it could be. And then, of course, it came out a couple weeks later and it made whatever it made. And it's still to this day one of the best MCU movies, period. Okay, you just finished Pervs, right? Because you're going into the Dale Keown. You're going into the Dale Keown era, which I was never a fan of Dale Keown. And I tried. I just was never into Hulk past the McFarlane era. And then when Image Comics gets formed, I tried Pitt. And I'm like, this is just Hulk. Just not as good. But to be honest, I understand that Keown's artwork is good and all, but I never found him to be special in my opinion. Of those guys, it was always Todd, Silvestri, Lee, Larson, and Liefeld. I never got in, and then Sam Keith. I never got into Keown. I never really cared for. I'm trying to think who else was in there. I guess it was just really Keown. It's funny. I wasn't a huge Bagley fan at first, and then as I looked, probably by the time he was 10 issues in, which would be Carnage, I really started to enjoy his artwork. But yeah, I never got into Dale Keown. Well, I don't have a 181 either. It's obvious. I mean, if and you're, I don't know, Cam, if you're like a collector is like you care about condition, but if if you're looking to get a Hulk 181 and not trying to break the bank, you should go with one without the Marvel value stamp. It's going to be cheaper, and it's just the stamp that's missing. So, dude, so let's look. I I have this problem sometimes, and I don't sometimes know how to navigate it. I am going to address what you said. Um, I have friends that I've had on the podcast, right? I have Chris Farron, Kevin Devine, Evan Weiss, like people I've known for a long time that are artists that I appreciate. I've reached out to Joe twice on Instagram. He follows me. And I asked him, I was like, I'd love for you to do the podcast. One time I asked him prematurely before it was really anything big. And I wanted to talk to him about Nemesis and also the Daredevil sizzle reel that he made, which you can watch on YouTube, which is awesome. And he saw it and he didn't reply. And I feel weird when I keep asking somebody and they don't say no, but they don't reply and I know them. So I am going to ask him again. And I'd love to have him on the podcast because, yes, he's made some great movies. He's also had him and his brother Matthew, who's a screenwriter as well, has written lots of movies, but I think the one I can remember that comes up top of my head is World War Z. They were going to make, Nemesis for Mark Miller. They wrote the script, and the script, I think, got optioned, but then the project never came to fruition. And I think, like, that movie is still getting made off of maybe the base of that script. But then if you go on YouTube and you type in, I think it's like just Joe Carnahan Daredevil, he made what a lot of you probably understand what a sizzle reel is. But what a sizzle reel is like you take a bunch of clips from other things and you put it together in a fake trailer as a pitch that you want to do this. And obviously it never happened. But if you go watch that sizzle reel, there's a lot of footage used just kind of from the Daredevil movie, from Taxi Driver. He wanted to make ultimately a 70s style Frank Miller or 80s style Frank Miller gritty Daredevil show or movie. And that's actually obviously what we kind of got in that first in the Netflix series and now Born Again. Avengers Under Siege is still one of my favorite runs. I wasn't reading Marvel stuff when you mean Siege or Under Siege? I don't think I know Under Siege, which is also Steven Seagal movie, which is also the reinvention of Tommy Lee Jones. But anyway, we're getting away from that. I've never read that. He's got a movie coming out May. Yeah, that's Shadow Force. Shadow Force comes out the week that Thunderbolts comes out, which is 14 days from now or 10 days from now. And then he's got another one. And it's the first movie that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have starred in a long time. It's called Rip. And that's going to be a Netflix movie. So I'd love to get him on the podcast to talk about the new movies. And like, he's such an interesting, he's a very honest, opinionated guy. I love listening to him talk. Like during COVID, he was just on fire, posting stuff and doing videos on Instagram. So yeah, I'd love to have Joe Carnahan on the podcast. Yes. Yep, exactly. Yeah, he was doing a pitch. It's interesting because I know I don't know if I got to imagine he was reading comic books as a kid because he has tried to make stuff and he's a kid of the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, and just a fantastic filmmaker. I think, and I don't know this for sure, but just based on what I know about him, my talking with him and the way he works, I think he's just there's a bunch of people that he has been vocal about not wanting to have anything to do with, and that's why some of these movies probably didn't get made. Under Siege is when the largest group of the Masters of Evil attacked the Avengers in the mid-'80s. I guess I don't have any frame of reference for this, but I've probably seen the books, being that I've bought collections with all of these books in them. You know what's a book I should probably read, which maybe some of you have read, and you can always chime in if you have. The last, was it the last Avengers story? It was a two-parter. can't remember the name of it. Acetate covers. No, Mast. I don't think they've shipped yet. I don't think they're gonna ship. I know the Piskers got the test copy. Justine shared some pictures of it with me, but I don't think they're gonna ship till the summer. Maybe July, you know. But I'm excited to get it. Definitely excited to get it. Speaking of Kickstarters, not next week, but the week after, the 7th of May, Sean Crystal, aka uh, what does he call himself? The Jupac, the master of ink pulp. He's going to be here live on Wednesday, May 7th, to talk about his new Kickstarter, which is his art book. And yeah, so that'll be fun to have a conversation with him. Excited for it. Yep, totally. So you got to tune in May 7th to see that and see Sean live. Two live Jews, as kosher as they want to be. Does anybody remember that parody group from I guess it must have been the early 90s, which was a parody rap group based off of Two Live Crew? And their one single that was on the radio was called Oi, It's So Human. It's like a sauna in here. Who remembers that? Because I do. You know who I'd love to interview on a on Direct Edition, which is a no-brainer? Weird Al. Somebody make that happen. John Buscema's art is always a highlight. I flipped through a lot of his Avengers book, including like the first appearance of Vision and stuff from that era. God, he was a beast. And it's so funny because he was famous for not wanting to do a lot of books, and he did them anyway because he was the house style. And yeah, we're better off for all the John Buscema art that we've had in our lives. All right, I'm going to do this giveaway now. So if you want to take a chance on winning this Godzilla #1 foil Art Adams wraparound cover, all you got to do is put in #Zilla, ZILLA, in the chat, and I'll do the drawing. And I would say he's maybe second for me with Barry Windsor Smith. That's all. Does he not do a lot of interviews? I've never tried. I have to finish reading Ultra Mega. I don't think it's out of the possibility, Brunson, because we're going to see, hopefully, I have a line on another artist of his ilk that's going to hopefully be on the channel next month. Try getting Tim's story on, but I don't like those movies. I don't know if I want to have somebody on that. I was like, you made these movies that I don't like, but you know, I'm trying to break through the barrier of the Hollywood stuff, and it's tough because I haven't been able to get anybody yet. It's been music and artists, but not anybody from Hollywood. But I'm trying. I am trying. Hello, Dakota. I wonder why you're here. #Zilla. This came out today. It's the foil Godzilla #1 cover A Art Adams wraparound. You've told me that before, AJ. I don't know how to reach. That's the thing. It's not who. It's like how. It's very tough to get people. Well, that's the thing. I was older. You know, I was in my 20s, and I watched the first one, and I honestly did not remember enjoying it. I mean, I love Jessica Alba. #Zilla, by the way. I love Jessica Alba, and I love Chris Evans, and Chickless was okay, and nobody knows who the fucking Ian Grafo or whatever his name is, and nobody cares anymore because he's nobody. But I was not huge into those movies. I remember watching the first 15 minutes of the second movie, and as soon as the Silver Surfer was off the screen, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. John, I don't know who they are. Brooke Lopez? I don't know who that is. Oh. And here's the thing. The long short of it is, if I'm not interested, I don't like wasting people's times. And if it's somebody I'm not interested in or I don't know, it's going to be kind of hard for me to do research and be excited about talking to them. I yet. I've gotten asked to do some comic creators on here, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's not the type of show. I'm not a promotion machine. I'm promoting the people that I'm interested in. Chill. Sure. I mean, like, I'm not going to disagree with that. Actually, Derek, maybe you could reach out to AJ for me. So, Nightwing, which is interesting. I had a conversation with Mickey with Swaggle House yesterday. We talked, and he suggested, but you know the fucking crazy thing about those two specific Comic Cons, getting on their press list is so hard. The Reed Pop thing, it seems to be like they have a bar that's this high that I can't get to, but it is definitely something that I'm gonna try when the New York Comic Con press press list opens up. It's not open yet. I checked. I will definitely try and get on it. Barry Windsor Smith on Kenny X-Men. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What a hell of a book. It's his kind of like pre-Weapon X book. Sal Buscema. I know a lot of people like him. I didn't grow up reading Sal's Hulk. I grew up seeing his spectacular stuff. Good networking opportunity. I got to interview Stan Smith for documentary for. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I do need to get on some press lists. It's very interesting. Uh, the conversations I've gotten into. I've asked some publicists when I've heard back from them. Some have replied and some haven't. Just about like what people look for and what they look for when you're reaching out for an interview. Speaking of Sanford Green in the house, what up, Sanford? Well, I appreciate you, Sanford, and I'm excited to do our next thing that we're going to do together. And I still want to hear from you when you've seen Sinners, because I got a lot to talk about and how inspirational it felt when thinking about Bitterroot. Also, check out Bitterroot because it's a great book. Best comic onomatopoeia. Kapow. Right there. Boom. Or thwack. Oh, Dave, I was busy earlier when you mentioned it. Don't know if I missed the details. What was the Comic Con with local store owners? I'll talk about that in a second. Yes, sir. Kapow, Whip, Snicked, and Vroosh. Vroosh. Snicked is great. I mean, but Snicked is like, that is specific to a character. I just love the classic Adam West Batman. So I got that. Crack-a-Boom's cool. All right, so we'll talk about that in a second. I'll do the giveaway in a second. A suggestion: create a website for the event. I have a website, westcoastdavengers.com, directeditionpodcast.com. I think I might have to switch off of Squarespace. The problem is I need a creative director. I need somebody that does all of this, that knows how to do all of this. Shink. Yeah, but Snicked is classic. What's the sound when Spidey uppercuts Hulk's nuts into space? You'd have to ask Todd McFarlane and David Michelini that question. All right, why don't we do the giveaway for the Godzilla, and y'all can be happy whoever wins it. There's only 15 entrants, but let's do it anyway. Bing! All right, here we go in 5, in 4, in 3, 2, 1. In Azilla, he's God. I can't do the Godzilla roar, but I am going back to Japan this year, so I'll work on it. Marsh in the house, and Marsh is the winner. Congratulations, Mr. Mark Marsh. Oh, all right, I remember this is yours, so whatever. It's not like I need to write it down. All right, so Nightwing Stand, sorry. Feel free, do me a favor, if I appreciate your input. If there's anything that you like think could be put on my website that isn't, you can always shoot me a message on there. And I appreciate that if you do. All right, so today I was at the Stargazer Comics. I was talking to the owner, Damien. Chris was there, Chris Piers, aka Comic Tropes, the distinguished gentleman that is Comic Tropes, and a couple other friends, Tacoma Comics and Criterion Comics. And we were talking about the state of Washington and the comic stores and the comic conventions. There's a convention here called SummerCon, Washington SummerCon. Obviously, there's Emerald City Comic Con, which it's got its history. Like I said, a lot better this year than the last year. And we're talking about SummerCon, and SummerCon has not announced any comic guests except for Kevin Eastman, but it has announced the cast of Daredevil and this and that and the other thing and all these voice actors. And we were all kind of commiserating on the fact that, sure, no problem, Mark, you got it. We were commiserating on the fact that Washington doesn't have a comic convention that is based on comics. Now, there is going to be one in Bellingham in October, Bellingham Comic Con, which is going to be run by Comics Place. And there's Grit City. But Grit City is even turning into like a Funko shit show or like all that stuff. So we were talking about maybe doing like a hotel ballroom rental and just one day show, just comics, nothing else, none of that other shit, just comics. There are plenty of other conventions to sell your wares, to sell your toy, like all that stuff. Or we could do with toys and comics, but no Funko. And we all kind of just like said, are we going to have to do this? Like, we should. And I would love to do it where we invite some local creators, comic creators, or even like people from Portland, maybe see if I can get Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad, or see if I get Matt Wagner, and just be like a one-day con for 6 hours, and it's just comics. The problem is it's a lot of work. But if I found like 2 or 3 people, a responsible party to be like, okay, I'll do the research on how much the room's going to cost. I will advertise the hell out of it on this channel. I will set up there, all that. And I've had some people to work the door and run some of the other parts of it. I would do it. Because it seems, if you look at the rest of the country, and a lot of you know this, California has a lot of these comic conventions. Berkeley's been doing their one for years. Near Mid Sundays down in Southern California has been happening for a bunch of years. And I hear a lot of friends that are like, oh yeah, I went to a local comic show. Vancouver's got like 1, 2, maybe even 3. So it's like, why doesn't the area with the biggest concentration, or one of the biggest concentration of comic creators, publishers, we have Fantagraphics, we have Dark Horse, we have Image, Oni, like everybody. Why doesn't Washington or the Pacific Northwest, like there is a Frankenstein comic swap in Portland, but it only happens, I think, twice a year. So it's just something that like, I'm serious that I would be a spearhead for that, but I cannot do this myself. As you all have seen over the last couple months, that it is becoming tough for me to do all of these things. I have this channel, the podcast, the sales, a life-ish. Plus, I like to do things like go to Japan, drink coffee in other countries and other cities. Yeah, Paul, I have heard for years. I mean, I have friends that go there a lot, and friends that have exhibited there. And, people seem to really love the Berkeley Comic Show. And San Francisco's got such a rich history of comics. I mean, the undergrounds originate from there. Last Gasp is a San Francisco publisher. San Francisco has been so important for art and music since the 60s or even before. So, and there is so much history for comics here in Seattle, or Tacoma, Seattle, Portland, all that. Queen's Comic Party, I've heard that. I've heard about that. Then their Elite Comics did their show there this year. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, and we had a comic show in every town in the 90s. I used to go to the Sons of Italy in Deer Park. Hey! And there were card shows. I mean, but that's the 90s. That's not today, where this stuff is a little more niche. But seriously, like, if I could, I thought about doing a garage con where I had a couple friends come here, but then it's like, I that invites stuff that I might not want, you know. But you know, there are friends of mine that live all over the country that go to local shows, or I'll see them on Instagram. Like, we don't have that here. It's sad. It's sad. Uh, but yeah, I just if you didn't watch the retailer roundtable that I had a couple weeks ago on the channel, you know, comics is not dying. There's plenty of it out there. There's plenty of people still buying, but there's always room to include more people and get more people reading, collecting, all of that. Do you think UW would give you a free exhibit space? You know, that's interesting, Derek. You know, actually, University of Puget Sound is a couple of blocks from me, and that would be more likely for me to reach out there because it's a couple of blocks from me. I think there's a UW campus here in Tacoma too, but that's not a bad idea to check it out. Or maybe there's a there's a couple VFW halls, but there's like a bigger one not too far from me as well. Or maybe it's like the Eagles Lounge, whatever it's called. Rhode Island Comic Con. A couple years ago, actually, I think Maddie's Comics exhibited there. He said it was good. Backyard Davengers SummerSlam Comic Con Mania. Tyler, I am way too old for that shit. Yeah, okay, buy a comic for me and then body slam me through this table full of barbed wire while screaming spoon, the tick battle cry. Trunk or treat, but for comics in a parking lot somewhere. That sounds shady. Yeah. But the thing is like, how do you get them to donate the space? Or at least like, oh, it's only $200. And then it's like, okay, come and set up and it's $15 a table. But if they don't have tables, then you have to rent tables, you know, stuff like that. I want it to be a little bit more, you know, like not classy, because there's nothing about me that's classy, but just a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, exactly. That's what the backyard comic swap would be like. But we'll see. It would be something that I'd shoot for if I was going to do it like fall. October would, you know, maybe do it back to back with Bellingham Comic Con. But by the way, if whatever Django and Jeff from Comics Place plan for Bellingham Comic Con, I will be there. So if you live in British Columbia or you live in Northern Washington, come up for that. Official, thank you. Yeah, the official Daventure Con. But it's all just in my head for right now. Just right now. Let me just close out this window. So yeah, that's what I was thinking to do if it was a possibility, but it would be in conjunction with, you know, maybe Damien at Comics Place, Chris, Comic Tropes would be fun to have a part of it. You know, maybe we do you know, he could do a signing because he's got books that he's done, or he could do you know, he could do live drawing and stuff. Yeah, this is a Daryl shirt. Read your comics. Monster comics. I haven't read a good monster comic in a while. They don't make them like they used to. You know what would be cool? Could we get Jim Starlin to write maybe like a cool monster comic that Ron Lim draws? That would be cool. I'd be into that. Thank you, Joe. So yeah, coming up in the next couple weeks, we got the sale. We got a couple of videos, top 10 Todd McFarlane Spawn covers, top 10 Greg Capullo Spawn covers. If I buy this collection tomorrow, that'll be filmed. You always got to film the collections. And this is a big one. Like this is, I think it was like 6 longs, 6 shorts, or 7 shorts or something like that. Evgeny Skolov's in the house, and things are good, man. I hope you're well, my friend. Let me see. Daryl, are you still in here? I think it's just readyourcomics.com. Let's see. Yeah, readyourcomics.com. And yes, you can buy the shirts there. I just put that link in the description. You can buy this shirt. There's a couple other different ones. Daryl was kind enough to ask me which one I wanted of his monster designs. Here, I'll share the screen. Daryl, look, I don't just think that Daryl's my friend. I consider him a friend, but I think what Daryl does is there is a really great service and content that he is providing, where he gives great commentary, and it's very easy to just watch and put on. And he's got a really good demeanor about himself. He doesn't shit all over books like I would sometimes. We've done a couple of videos together. I'll be using the code Davengers at checkout. If you don't subscribe to his channel and you want to watch some great, I have to advertise my videos that I did with him. We did a flip through of Hulk 340, which I had a blast. It's like almost like, I think it was an over hour video. I think we did a flip through of Spawn 9. He usually has me on to talk about McFarlane books, which makes sense when you see Todd. You buy Todd. So yeah, read your comics on Instagram, readyourcomics.com for these great shirts and great people. Hey, Kate. Random left field, did I ever see Roger Dodger? No, I never did. I've seen the Miseducation of the movie that Jesse Eisenberg did that Fred Durst directed like years and years ago, but I don't know if I've ever seen Roger Dodger. But I do love me some Jesse Eisenberg. The movie Real Pain last year was definitely one of my favorites. It's bittersweet, great, dark comedy drama. Road trip movie. All right, Roger Dodger. I don't think I even know that movie. I'm looking at it right now. No, I do not know this movie. Cool. Love a good suggestion. Limp Bizkit is, oh, that's right. Yeah, they were doing some of that tour. I think Slayer may be doing some of the opening shows. I hope you have a good time at those shows, Tyler. I mean, look, Metallica seems to be back at the top of the game. You know, all of the live clips I've seen from this tour that they've been doing for 2 years now have just been fantastic. So you're always in for a treat. I haven't seen them since 2010-ish, the first Orion Fest. Oh, it's Limp and Pantera. Well, at least you get one good band. Look, I got nothing against like old Pantera, but whatever this is now, I'm not a fan of what's his face. I don't know. We lost the good ones that were in Pantera. Let's just say that. Oh, there. Speaking of distinguished gentlemen, we've got Comic Tropes, aka Chris Piers, aka the Tropian, aka the Trope Master, the Trash Movie Bonanza Master. Chris Tropes. Yeah, Comic Tropes. Chris Piers is in the house. I mentioned you like 6 times already today. You were getting all, basically this show exists to advertise everybody else. And Direct Edition, a podcast about nothing and everything. Oh, that was great. Yeah, Eggroll posted this great comic of me, which you can, I'll actually just show it. If you don't mind, I'm going to show it since it's on Instagram and it's public. It's silly and it's fun, and it really does kind of put me, it's true to life, all right? Let's just say that. It's true to life. Oh, man. Yeah, I should have gone to that show. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Well, if you want, come here. I'll give you a massage. All right, let's take a look at this comic that Eggroll had posted of me on Instagram. Let me share the screen here. This thing is hilarious. All right, so there's me walking. And then right here, hope you all can see this. Yes, you can. I'm like, what? Huh? It's Todd, and I see Todd. I love this. This is kind of what I look like when I wake up in the morning. And then, oh, let me zoom out there. And I buy Todd, but he's like, sport, I didn't sign up for this. All right. I'm flattered. Absolutely flattered. So that's Eggroll on Instagram. Yours truly. So yeah, that's I don't have like this thing what Grady did when he did this to me. This is like the most flattering thing ever. I never thought in a million years doing this stupid show on YouTube where I use my stupid voice, my weird looking face to talk about comics and say off color stuff about publishers and spec collectors, you know, and chromium covers. Like, I didn't think anybody would actually enjoy this, let alone make some fan art. Now, on the flip side today, by the way, guys, one day I'm going to do a show where we just look at comments that people left on my channel, you know, like the dumb comments. And today on the CGC video, someone left this comment for me. Bet you can't wait to read all those. And it's like, do you think that's insulting? Like, it's insulting that I openly talk about how I do slabbing because I sell comics for a living, and you're like, I bet you can't wait to read all those. Motherfucker, I've read every comic that I've ever slabbed. Anywho, sometimes it's just great being a YouTuber. What do I think is important to make a Comic-Con really good? I think there's many elements of what makes a Comic-Con good. But the two major ones. I mean, John, it might be a bot comment, it might not be. The two elements are not just comic sellers, but a varied amount of comic sellers. Like, if your con consists of just stores that are exhibiting at Comic Cons, like, you're not really going to see anything interesting, and they have to charge Comic Con prices. It's always interesting when there's like the random collector who is got 100,000 comics and he wants to downsize his collection and he collects all stuff. I've bought from those people plenty of times. But the other thing is, and it's a twofold, you got to bring in artists and you got to bring in publishers. I mean, I think some of the best things were when I would go to the New York Comic Con in the 90s when I was a kid, or Big Apple Con. You'd walk through and you'd see the dealers and you'd flip through books. You'd meet artists like, you know, Mark Texiera or Adam Hughes or Brian Stelfreeze or, you know, whoever was exhibiting in those days. But then you'd go and you'd see Marvel and DC and you'd get free stuff, or Topps would be there giving out. I remember getting early promo cards of Star Wars Galaxy, which I fell in love with that series because it was comic artists doing Star Wars cards, which is the coolest thing ever. Probably the most underrated sets of all time. And all of that together was all like keeping you wanting to be interested in what was coming out, keeping you wanting to buy comics on New Comic Book Day, etc. But also like having a, like I said, a varied, also like having a varied group of artists and people hawking comic book stuff led to stuff like me meeting Guar at New York City Comic Con because they had a zine out and they were giving those out and trying to bring people into their Guar cult. So stuff like that. I think that we all know that we don't really need. I don't think they shouldn't have the movies present there, but they shouldn't be the focus. And you want to get some of that stuff there to get people into comics, because movies, TV speak to a wider audience than comics ever will at this point. It's the same thing in the literary world. The how many people probably started reading books when their first book was the Da Vinci Code, and then it became a movie and they felt connected and more people read that book. I'm not saying that it's important for the two of them completely, but there is some of that. But yeah, dealers, artists, and publishers. Sure, venue is a huge thing. Price is also a huge thing. Well, yeah, we don't like that stuff, Greg. So yeah, good evening there, Adrian. The argument so is that you can't have more than one book. God forbid you slab the copy and a reader copy. Or God forbid I slab stuff that I've read, like Wolverine 17, which I read multiple times in my life. YouTube comments aren't so bad. Nothing like the trenches of Instagram real comments. Oh yeah, there's some bad stuff. Well, you want to really see the dregs of society. You just look at anything that a woman says, especially if it's a famous woman on TikTok or Instagram. And then you scroll down and you just start seeing it. Like Brie Larson's comment section makes me sometimes want to go back to drinking. Like, why so many people hate that woman? They're all mental. It's like play haters. Yeah, yeah. Of course, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Scheme. I love Scheme, and I'm excited to whenever we meet in person for the first time, and I have him back to talk about collecting and all the cool stuff that he's into because he's a trendsetter, or he's just above the trend, actually. Yeah, I remember coming back with so much cool free stuff when I was younger. Even into like the last time I went to New York City Comic Con was like 2011, 2012, something like that. I feel like publishers are largely absent because since the pandemic and it's been noticeable effect on cons. Yes, yeah. I mean, Dark Horse is a presence at Rose City because it's down the block, but I can't remember the last time I saw Image at Emerald City Comic Con was maybe the 25th anniversary, and I'm sure you were there that weekend, Chris. And that was when I ran into Todd on the floor, took a photo with him. I pissed off Robert Kirkman by asking him for an autograph at a non-signing time, and he just kind of looked at me like. Same with Jeff Lemire. I'm like, gives a shit. It's just one autograph. We love Guar. Yeah, yeah. I was harassed, and I mean that in joking. I was harassed by them as a young child. I still have that zine in a box, and it's got like fake blood thumbprints and signatures on it. You know, I think cosplay can detract from a Comic Con, but I do think it is bringing more people in that truly there are a lot of people that cosplay that love comics, and I think if you were to kill that completely, um, I think you're limiting. But I think it should be. I like it actually. I'm never gonna lie. I see some of these people with the cosplay costumes. I'm like, this is the greatest Halloween costume I've ever seen, and it's literally at a Comic Con. James Easterly in the house. What up, brother? I'd like to see more comics at ECC. Yes. Honestly, I didn't see a ton of the cosplay this year at ECC because I think they kept it to another part. I really don't think the problem is cosplay. I think the problem is the ancillary items. Look, the biggest fucking problem with Comic Cons is actually these people who are artists. And I'm using quotes because we all know they steal art off the internet, they Google it, they slap a filter on it, and they call it a print. And it's bullshit. It's stealing from the real artists. And I don't care that you're stealing from Marvel, DC, none of that shit matters to me, Disney. But when you're calling yourself an artist and you've never illustrated a thing in your life and you're just stealing digital art and slapping, a filter on it, that's not even AI. I just mean that shit. Then there's the trinkets and the bullshit. It's like vintage toys. You want to do that. You want to have Sideshow Weta. That's cool. That stuff is made by real artists. Um, but obviously, we want to highlight comic book artists. If storyboard artists are setting up at cons and they're doing commissions, that's cool too. These people are artists. But when you're stealing a Spider-Man 1 cover, you're slapping a filter on it and you're saying, "Oh, this print is an original print." No, it's not. No, it's nothing. It's nothing. Yeah, I remember that giant island that they used to have. I was at SDCC once on a bar bench of an artist I didn't know. I was accosted by a fan on the well, you know what? You should have just ran with it. Yeah, cosplay's great. It really is. Like I remember I used to hang out at Dave Korea's table at Emerald City the first 5 years I lived in Seattle. And there is no more comfortable spot at a Comic Con than behind somebody else's table that you don't have to work. The only confusion is when somebody says hi Dave and I turn around and he turns around and I'm like, oh yeah. But I saw some great cosplay. I took photos of Galactus and a Donald Trump. This was like the year before he got elected. It was Morton Joe, but it was Trump. And I was like, this is the greatest thing. Little did I know he'd be a Morton Joe pretty much to a T. Publishers need to be at the cons. Yeah, well, for twofold, right, Stan? One is to give a shot. Like Sanford was just in here, and if you listen to the interview with him, like he got his first job at Wizard World, and Black Arrow, and having small publishers and large publishers kind of like puts a cap on how young or indie creators in general are able to try and pitch a book or get work. And like, you listen to the story of anybody that was creating comics pretty much from 1967 through the early 2000s, and a lot of them, if not most of them or all of them, got their first work going to a con. And now you're limiting that avenue. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. I would also love to see somebody pop up with a legit manga con in the States. Like getting to maybe bringing some creators over, and like I guess we'd have to get a lot of indie creators from here, or like something that's that kind of style. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough because manga is, or at least that style, you can see it. You can see it in the comics now. Like people are going that way. And I actually appreciate that because I think we need more flavor in our comics here in the States. Because manga took so much inspiration from US comics. So wish there was more for writers. They really don't have a way to sell. They could do sketch covers and skip cons altogether. Um, I think that's where panels come in. I mean, Stephanie Phillips, if you don't follow Stephanie Phillips on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, she's actually like making very interesting content, talking directly to people and talking about how she makes her money. And I think having people like that, like her on panels, would actually be a huge plus for Comic Cons these days. Cosplayers have a lot of venues: PAX, SakuraCon, Emerald City, of course, Halloween. They can just stay out of Comic Cons. No, I get it. I get it. I don't think it should be a major focus, but I don't think it's a huge detriment. I think the detriment is into the construction of what we're able to buy or not buy at Comic Cons, because at the end of the day, the only reason why, as a comic fan, for me, I'd want to go to a Comic Con is to either meet the creators or buy books. Nothing else. I don't care about anything else. And so I want more of that. What can you experience at a con that you can't duplicate online? So physically searching for good deals, seeing the spectacle, having lots of indie comics and pros cut. That's why Heroes Con is such a huge thing, because it is full of pros and indie creators. So you can go see Sanford and Trad and DWJ, and then go see Easterly. You could go see Morgan Heron. You could go to the Cosmic Lion booth. I mean, that's why I go. I'm not going to buy a collection in North Carolina and fly back home. That's not going to happen. Yes, get mangaka here. I mean, this year we had Godtail was at Emerald City Comic Con, and forget who he was next to, and there was Ganga there. There was, like he had pages. Not Godtail, but the guy that was next to him had pages. So that was really interesting to see. I just think, yeah, exactly, exactly. Manga is king. My kids read digest and do not bother buying 23. Well, because like we're getting kind of ripped off by the floppy here. We are, for the most part. I think there are some books that come out that are worth the $5 because they're crafted beautifully. But I think by and large, the big two are taking our money and laughing whatever money they're getting. But that's part of the conversation that I had with the retailers. There was a lot of talk about that, because I do think the manga industry knows what it's doing. I mean, but they're also like, the whole thing about Japan and manga is that they don't have a ton of space, so they can't have boxes of this stuff where they can have a couple of bookshelves and they can recycle stuff. The weeklies get recycled. That's why they're worth a lot of money, especially the older ones, because, you know, who's got a 40-year-old weekly magazine? How many of them are out there? Oh, I can't wait to go back. There's going to be one more video. I just have to figure out what it's going to be. It may just be non-narrated, pretty much uncut, of the last couple of days I was in Japan and all of the books that I was hunting. The Japan videos, it seemed, and I could be, no, I'm not wrong. I look at the analytics. It seemed that the Japan videos spoke to a very certain audience you know, but like even a micro audience inside my audience, a lot of people that watched them that I didn't know watched the channel. It was nice to hear what they thought. Dave Uncut. Derek, I'm Jewish, so there's only a little. So it's not true, but the video. Uh, Anywho, I think there is work to be done on the con front. I think what Kazra and Matt Sardo did with IC3, what Kazra and Bill did with OAX are perfect examples of how to bring it back. Near Mid Sunday seems to be kind of like a gem of a Comic Con modern. So, I just think it would benefit more another big con to take the lead of Heroes or Baltimore. DC Compact Comics are so dope. $10. Yeah, I gotta find something that I've never read or something that I want to read over and over that is in that format so I could pick one up. Because like I'm not gonna pick up one of these books that I have in 12 formats, like Kingdom Come, which I've read in every format or something like that. But yeah, maybe I'll pick up the Court of Owls because I want to reread that anyway. And it would be a good format to check it out. Also give a shout out to Eddie Pecan, which is going into its second year this year. It's going to be 2 days. But the Eddie Pecan is still, I think, finding a bit of its focus. And probably, if they do it for a third year, I think we'll the Piskers have a lot going on. So planning that. And I told them if they need me, if they want me to do another panel, I'm happy to host whatever capacity the Pisker family needs me in for Eddie P Comic Con. They've got it. They want me to just make a cool video, maybe do a live podcast or a live show while I'm there. I'm happy to do that too. So we'll find out a little bit more. Probably I'll know probably by Heroes what I'm going to be doing. I got my core of, oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I'm trying to get, look, Greg Capullo, you're not watching this, but I've emailed you a bunch of times. I've emailed your wife. I'd like to have you on the channel. You've been one of my artists and one of my favorite artists since I was a kid. And I loved Wolverine Revenge. And I'm looking at you, Greg Capullo. Let's have a talk about being Greg Capullo. We'll even make a movie about it. John Malkovich could be you. How about that? So John Malkovich is Greg Capullo and being Greg Capullo. But I would love to have Capullo on the channel. I mean, if you're like me and you were reading Spawn and X-Force and Spawn in the early, 90s, and then, he comes out and he's doing Batman with Scott Snyder, and just he's become one of the best artists in comics. So Greg Capullo, I don't play guitar as well as you. I'm not as cut as you. I'm bald like you. Let's do some chatting. I had some Man Thing and Adventures if you're signed by Dan Thomas. I don't know who Dan Thomas is. I know who Don McGregor is. I know who Ewan McGregor is. But I don't know Dan Thomas. You gotta cast Nick Cage as both Capullo and his wife. That would be hilarious. The unbearable likeness of being Greg Capullo. Yeah. Do I play guitar? I do not. I took some lessons when I was a kid. I'm not super coordinated with two hands like that. Yeah. But I enjoy holding a guitar, noodling around. I think I could play Wake Me Up When September Ends. I could play Nothing Else Matters. So close, no matter how far. But no, I never took to playing an instrument. It's because I wasn't disciplined enough as a kid. I wasn't, I was just a wild card. I'm still a wild card, but more disciplined. Yeah. Oh man, it's very funny how they clashed, but figured it out. An alpha and not an alpha. And it's because, like, if you think about the way that Capullo started his career, when his starting on Image, it was like he was working with the alpha dog, who was like the greatest artist, and then he became his own great artist. Oh, Roy Thomas. I was like, who's Dan Thomas? I created Roy Thomas, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, Kim, but I created him. He may have created Wolverine, but I created Roy Thomas. Roy Thomas was created by Dave years before I even existed. If I have any other questions, I'm happy to answer, but I think I'm going to sign off for the night. This has been a fun chat. I will be back next Wednesday. Going to figure out the format of the sale. If I buy this collection tomorrow, it'll probably be a regular sale because there's some crazy fire. Okay, all right, hold on. Sinners. I talked about it earlier. No spoilers. I've seen it twice now. Sinners is possibly, it was going to be the top movie, one of the top movies of the year, and it was so good. It was so good. But everybody's saying goodnight, and I think I will stick to going. My nose is getting stuffy because I'm talking too much. But I appreciate everybody who hung out tonight. Look for the new video on Sunday. Dinesh Shamdasani interview on Monday, direct edition. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. I really appreciate if you do. Let's get that out to more people so I can get all of the names I want to interview. Eggroll, I appreciate you. I won't let the bed bugs bite because if I have bed bugs, I'm going to burn my mattress. Everybody have a great night. Tyler, enjoy Metallica. Have a safe and fun time in Toronto. Go to the Beguiling. And everybody have a great weekend. Appreciate you. Hit the like button on your way out. 35 of you. It better be 35 likes on this video, if not more. Peace. Oh, I forgot to hit end stream.